this by saying shout out to Ness and the Boxing Voice. They're giving some good content. I have a lot of respect for Nestor Carter because Ness boxes. So what I'm about to say, even though it's in disagreement with Ness and in disagreement with the narrative that everybody's trying to set, which once again clouds the elephant in the room, let me just say that I appreciate them and the content that they bring, and I may be passionate about what I say, but by and large, it's all love. All right, so the narrative that's going on out there is Canelo. He tested himself. You know, he went up in divisions until he reached a division where he maxed out, and it's not his division, 175. You know, for him to dominate, and he doesn't belong to 175, and he should go down to 168 and fight there. And I've heard so many other excuses for why he lost the fight. He didn't fight like he usually do. He, was throwing too many power shots early, and he wasted his load, and all kinds of bullshit. Excuses for the elephant in the room, which is that his feet, he don't move his feet enough. Okay? That's the truth. All the other stuff to me is just bullshit. They're just bullshitting you. Okay? We already dispelled the notion that he don't belong at 175. Now the other thing they're saying is Bevo visibly looked tremendously bigger than Canelo. And Bevo weighed on the scale 183. What do you think Canelo came in at? Canelo came in against, I think, Sergey Kovalev at 178, 180, somewhere thereabouts. Canelo's a 180 pounder. So Bivol couldn't be that much bigger than Canelo. So that's bullshit. That's like saying Mayweather was so much bigger than Pacquiao when Mayweather weighed less than Pacquiao when they actually fought. It's bullshit. All right. I was listening to an interview, and Dimitri Bivol said, he might even entertain the notion of going down to 168 and taking all them belts, taking his undisputed titles. You know why Dimitri Bivol can say that? Because he knows his style gives Canelo problems. And he more than likely win the fight. It's not about size. And I hear too many people talking about its size. So if Bivol was to come down to 168, because Canelo's not, Bivol's not a big, he's not a big 175 pounder. He goes down to 168. He makes weight. He rehydrates to whatever he normally is at. And he fights Canelo. And he beats his ass again. What are y'all going to say? What are you going to say? What the people said about Canelo not evolving as much as people exaggerate him to have evolved and improved 8 to 10 years after he had faced Floyd, it's true. Dimitri Bivol showed Canelo susceptible to the same shots that Floyd was hitting him with, that the same probing jabs and the same setup and the same distance control that he dictated a fight. Bivol dictated a fight. You wondering why Canelo, was missing with some of his shots and why Canelo couldn't get to Bivol at certain points in time? It's because he was dictating the pace of the fight and using this pivot work to pivot off the ropes. All right, let's go to something else that's really stupid. But it's a lot of stupid stuff I've been hearing on it. And Ness knows better. So he's saying Canelo takes risks. Nobody else was taking risks like Canelo. Nobody in his division is going up 2, 3. Well, first of all, Canelo has the ways and means to do that. He could choose to do that. Because, 1, he's his own promoter. 2, Canelo is the cash cow of boxing. So he could do things, and because he has a fan base behind him and a sound fan base and everything, and he's the cash cow, he can do whatever he wants. It gives him a lot more freedom. Right? You even see the judges being swayed by him because he the money man. He put the butts in the seats. He can do whatever the fuck he wants to do. Okay? Whereas Jermell Charlo, he need a belt still. Demetrius Andrade, he need a belt to be something, to be attraction in some sort of way. You understand? Who's going to promote them? Who's going to promote Demetrius Andrews talking about going up in weight and facing David Benavidez. That's a good fight. It's a very good fight. Winnable fight for Demetrius Andrews, definitely. Right? Jamal Charlo, he want to try and clean out 160. He clearly doesn't. He's talking and chirping, but he's full of shit. Because he's chirping, but he's not really thinking about following through with certain things. I can tell that. He's full of shit. But when it comes to Demetrius Andrade, when it comes to David Benavidez, these guys want to smoke. They want fights. That's why Demetrius Andrade ended up asking Canelo if he wanted to fight him. Know what I mean? And they want smoke. They want the fights. And I didn't appreciate what Ness was doing. He was trying to literally down talk Demetrius Andrade so Andrade could be out of discussions. So Ness is like one of the fucking agents of the system trying to get Demetrius Andrade out of the picture. What the fuck is wrong with Ness? You know what I'm saying? Don't do that. Alright? Don't do that. You're supposed to be pro fighter at least. Don't be going with them fucking narratives. I don't give a fuck what happened with transaction. Demetrius Andrade need to have a fight. A big fight. Why not? He's earned that right by now. He's been a 2-time world champion. He might be a 3-time world champion in 3 different weight classes. That's enough. It's about time the dude got a big fight. And y'all, Ness, you're not helping the situation. Okay? So don't do that to Demetrius Andrade. I don't give a fuck what happened in the past. You should be always trying to support the fighters. Always wanting to see the best for the fighters. Right? I'm not here to down Canelo. I'm a fan of Canelo, but at the same time, we gotta speak to the elephant in the fucking room. Okay? Shout out to Hollywood Ingram. What's up, my brother? I haven't seen you in a long time. Yeah, Boo Boo deserves a payday. You know, he been putting in the work. Yeah, he's been mostly fighting guys from the Euro guys. But at the end of the day, he's going to be a 3-time world champion. What are you going to do now? He's putting in the numbers. You know what I'm saying? So nah, that's not right, man. It ain't right for Ness to be doing that and trying to take the man food from him. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to be an agent like that. You know what I'm saying? And I hope he gets the Benavidez fight. And I hope David makes that fight because that's a good fight. Yeah, okay. Andre might win the fight, maybe. But you never know. It's boxing. You never know. So, and David's hungry. So I would love to see that. I would love to see David versus Andre. But at the same time, at the end of the day, you're saying Canelo's taking risks going to division after division and facing whoever. But Andre's doing it. He's going through his 3rd division. He don't got the clout and money and an establishment behind him like Canelo got. Shout out to you, Ingram, man. That's good to hear. That's good to hear, brother. It's very good to hear. So you can't be putting a standard that Canelo has on everybody else. Now I do agree that Bivol was a good opponent. I was shocked that Canelo was even facing Bivol. He's testing his skills against a really, really, really great fighter. I do not know what was going through his mind with Eddie Reynoso, but they took Bivol. They took Bivol on, and I knew from the jump that Bivol was going to beat him, right? But even so, whether you know boxing or not, the truth of the matter is that what Bivol taught us is this. And maybe it's cherry pick and go wrong, whatever it is, whatever y'all want to say. He was a world champion. Bivol's a very good fighter. But here's the thing that I want to say. It taught everybody that you shouldn't just go jumping up in weight classes talking about legacy, right? You're talking about legacy, and you're jumping up in weight classes, but you got unfinished business in front of you. You know what I'm saying? Handle your business in front of you, and then go up to the next weight class. You know what I'm saying? Now, Canelo did this jumping thing, right? He jumped up when he faced Sergey Kovalev when Jamal Charlo was right in front of him. He could have handled Jamal Charlo and then get the Kovalev fight when Kovalev is rested. He didn't do that. You know what I'm saying? He rushed the Kovalev fight. He wanted the Kovalev fight immediately. Kovalev didn't even get no time to rest. So he never had the best Kovalev. He never faced the best. So that always now, the people who don't like Canelo already, they're gonna use that against him. Oh, he faced an old Kovalov or whatever, right? And truth be told, I thought it was a shit fight at the time. I was like, what the hell are you facing Kovalov for when you got Jamel right there, you got Jamal right there, and you got Andre right there, right? Why would we want to face Kovalov? But when I saw Kovalov box, and I saw how he got so much good boxing IQ, I gave Canelo his credit. Because Kovalov, I knew that turnaround was too quick. And I also knew Kovalov was sensitive to the body. We had seen that fight with Anthony Yarde. Anthony Yarde was breaking his ass down. He was just one shot away from getting knocked out against Anthony Yarde. Okay? Canelo actually wanted Kovalov before that, but he didn't get Kovalov before the Anthony Yarde because Anthony Yarde was not willing to step aside. But Canelo was seeing Kovalov as food. But Canelo didn't stop Kovalov with a body shot. Right? Kovalov actually protected his body very well. He was circling the right direction, and he was sticking and moving. I was very, very impressed with him. You know, I was very, very impressed with him. Because I thought this was going to be a shit. Kovalov surprised me, and I was able to give Canelo his credit for facing Kovalov. But the truth be told, as Andrew Ward correctly said, that was not the crusher that Canelo faced. It was not the crusher. Now, Canelo did do certain things to keep Kovalov's hands at home and to keep him from throwing that right hand like he really wanted to throw it. But the point be said is, I tell people all the time, big names don't mean a thing. Styles is the only thing that matters. Yes, sir. That is absolutely correct, sir. Bivol boxed really good. The media just didn't know him. Right. I had Bivol winning from the get-go, but... Right. So, anyway. So, here's the thing that's going on. All right? We got people who hate on Canelo, and they're going in on Canelo. And then we got the people who defending Canelo, and they're trying to push back. So, Ness is trying to push back on behalf of Canelo, but in doing so, he's not being very balanced. All right? And I get what Ness is doing. I have respect for Ness boxing and everything. But some of the stuff he's saying just flat out it's just false. And it's misleading. You know what I mean? And I don't like that. And you don't have to jump on Demetrius Andre's ass to defend Canelo. You know what I'm saying? You could just deal with Canelo. All right? And so they say Canelo take risks and nobody else in boxing taking risks. You can't say that shit, Ness. Because Demetrius Andre just went up 3 divisions. He just 1 division short of what Canelo's doing. Okay? Andre's about to step up to 168 the proper way. He not just jumping and waiting, just jumping up and down all around the place. He got to take it systematically. He don't have... I ain't going to put that in there. But he don't have that opportunity. He doesn't have that kind of opportunity to do that. All right? He still depends on a promoter. He's not his own boss like that. He has to be with a promotional company. He doesn't have his own promotional company. You see? Eddie Hearn was nice to Demetrius Andre. He kept him active, get him some paychecks. And Eddie Hearn was trying to get Demetrius Andre to big fights, but they just ISO out Demetrius Andre. Like there's something from the boxing guard saying he can't get no big fight. You know? Benavidez is open to Demetrius Andre, so I'm happy for that. Now let me say this. I give Canelo mad props for taking on Dimitri Bivol. Right? I give him props for taking that fight. Bivol was never a slouch. Bivol was never a joke. You know what I'm saying? So I give him props for that. That's a legitimate guy. I don't know I don't know what was going through Canelo's head when he decided to take that fight, but it surprised me. He did take on Caleb Plant. I give him props for that again, because I thought Caleb Plant would beat his ass. And he was able to hurt Caleb Plant round about the 10th. Is when he really actually hurt him. And then he was able to follow up on that and catch him as he was just about to nap. And he caught him with a shot, and then he caught him and knocked him down, and that was it. That was a wrap. But with respect to Canelo doing what nobody else is doing and challenging himself, you can't say that. That's not fair. I'm going to tell you why. Jamal Charlo jumped up from 154 to 160. Now, Charlo's not doing what Canelo's doing, right? Because Charlo got to hold on to a belt to kind of keep his worth. Canelo's name is his worth now. And then, thanks to the franchise belt, he a champion regardless of whether he wins or loses. So the WBC is, behind him and everything. Canelo's got all the support he can have, so he can do whatever the fuck he wants to do. Okay, them other guys can't do that. Benavidez, he's now new in the game. He can't just jump up to 175 and do that. That ain't making no damn sense. Okay, it gotta make dollars. It gotta make sense. It gotta make sense for Benavidez to jump up to a new weight class. If he's just gonna get the same pay for jumping up a weight class, what the fuck he's doing that for? It has to make sense, right? So when that says, oh, why didn't David Benavidez face Bivol? Why is Canelo the only guy that facing Bivol? Well, I'm gonna tell you why. One, he's with the PBC. All right, Benavidez with the PBC. He's got a contract with them. Two, Bivol's not a big name. Canelo is a big name. Benavidez is not a big name. Benavidez can't just jump up to fucking 175 and face Bivol. Bivol's not. We don't even know who lots of people didn't know who Bivol was. Canelo brought light to Bivol. Okay? Because Canelo's getting paid the big bucks to face a Bivol and a Triple G and somebody else. He's getting paid the big bucks. Benavidez won't get paid the big bucks for that. Risk versus reward. That makes no fucking sense. It makes no sense. And if it makes no sense, it's better he stays where he is at and face the guys that are there, which are bigger names than Bivol. All right? So when people say, oh, Canelo's taking risks, no, he's his own boss. So he can do whatever the fuck he wants to do. He's not with Golden Boy Promotions no more. He's got Canelo Promotions. And he partners up with Eddie Hearn. But he is his own boss. He can do whatever the hell he wants to do. Those other guys are not their own bosses. Jamal Charlo's not his own boss. Right? He's linked to the PBC. He has contracts with Showtime. He's got contracts with Fox. You understand what I'm saying? He has to try and work a thing to try and get across to work with Demetrius Andrade. He has to still work some stuff to get that done. All right? And Andrade and Charlo, we don't really know. We haven't crunched the numbers to say, oh, Charlo's going to get $10 million for that fight. He's not going to get that kind of money. He's not going to get that kind of money. You understand what I'm saying? Canelo's getting like $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a fight. He's in demand. Especially as he was pound for pound number one and a cash cow. Now his numbers are going to kind of decrease a little bit. His value is going to decrease a little bit because he got lost by Bivol. As they say, his stock kind of dropped. But ultimately, in the end, Canelo still got sizable stock. You know what I'm saying? And these other guys, they don't have stock nowhere near that. So that's why Canelo can do what he's doing. And Ness knows this. He knows the boxing game. He knows these guys can't just pick up and do what they want to do. Right? They can say who they want to fight and angle and ways towards that. Kind of like Caleb Plant and David Benavidez. They want to fight each other, but it's taking a little while to get there because they're not their own bosses. Even though they're on the same side of the street. Right? Andre went across to Matchroom and the Zone so he could get the Canelo fights. So he could get the Gennady Golovkin fights. That's why he went across there. Andre went beyond the call to try and make these fights happen. And what did these motherfuckers do? They ducked him. All right? So don't tell me he ain't trying to be great. Don't tell me he's not trying to take risk. Don't tell me that shit. Because you're lying. He signed up with the Zone to have these fights. Okay? So don't tell me he's not trying to take risks. Don't tell me that shit. You're not being honest. Right? Danny Jacobs went across to the Zone via the gentleman who's kind of doing some of the promoting for Cambosis. I forgot what his name is right. L Company. Anyway. Alright? Came across to the Zone so he could get a Triple G fight. Then he got the Canelo fight. Danny Jacobs. Alright? Charlo ain't trying to make no effort to cross the street. Charlo never tried to make an effort to go to the Zone. So Charlo's comfortable where he is. That's what Charlo's saying. But when it comes to Demetrius Andrade, he been trying to get those fights. So don't tell me that Demetrius Andrade ain't trying to be great. He ain't trying to do things because he's going to be in his third division. Zach Parker, I think, is the guy he's facing. All right. And he's going to try, Demetrius Andrews is going to try to get the fight with David Benavidez. They had to fight together with him and Billy Joe Saunders. He was trying to get the Billy Joe Saunders fight. But Billy Joe Saunders turned up dirty. And so the fight fell apart. What do you want the guy to do? He tried. And then when he tried to call out Billy Joe Saunders again, guess who Canelo's calling up for a fight? Billy Joe Saunders. So Saunders is like, fuck you, I want the money. And he went and he grabbed the bag, even though he never deserved it, because that Billy Joe Saunders punked out. He punked out. It would have better if Andre had faced Canelo. He would give Canelo a hell of a lot better fight. Saunders punked out, take the money, and ran. He stole that money. All right? And he's never coming back to boxing. I know this already. He a punk. All right? No disrespect to Saunders, because he's a great boxer and all of that, and he got a lot of mad skills and everything, and I shouldn't be disrespecting boxers like that. But I'm just saying, man, you bitched out on Canelo, man. You didn't even show up for the press conference, and you was trying to find a way out of that fight. Showed up to the fight and was fighting scared. When you finally got confidence, he done already carve up your body. You did a little something in the 5th round. Surprised Canelo. He started adjusting to you in the 6th, and by the 7th, he got you out of there, right? Bust your eye, right? Billy Joe Saunders. He disappointed me, man. You disappointed me. I knew Canelo was going to whoop your ass when you didn't show up for that press conference. I knew it was over. I knew you were going to clock clean. He was going to punish you. I knew this already. I knew you was going to get an ass whoop. Because you didn't show up for the press conference. You showed you didn't have confidence in your skills. You didn't have confidence in your abilities. You was just coming in there for a paycheck. And people praise you for doing well for 2 rounds. Get the hell out of here, man, Billy Joe. You're a joke. You disappoint me. You really disappoint me. I'm glad I didn't put money on you. Right? Caleb Plant fought his ass off. You know, he was doing well, but it is what it is. Right? And I never knocked Canelo for facing Caleb Plant. I never knocked Canelo for facing Billy Joe Saunders. I never knocked Canelo for facing Callum Smith. I will never knock him for that. They're good fighters. And they were the top fighters at the 168-pound division. I'm not going to knock him for that. I do have a problem with him not facing Demetrius Andrade at 160 when he only had one more belt to get. I have a problem with that. I have a problem that he took the franchise belt instead of facing Jamal Charlo. I have a problem with that. And anybody else who doesn't have an issue with that, that's your problem. But I'm telling you, I have a problem with that. Jamal Charlo has gone on the record and said Canelo didn't duck him. I'm cool with that. He didn't duck you. He didn't duck you. All right? Cool. But Andrade has been trying to get that fight. Andrade has been trying to get the fight with Canelo. All right? And Canelo said all kinds of horrible things about Andrade, which are not true. Are not true. So, you can't be talking about a guy who dares to be great, but then you leave the guys, you leave the unfinished business that the fans be watching at you, you leave these guys alone, and these guys calling you out, right? And you leave them alone. You're being called out at 154 by the same guys. You're being called out at 160 by the same guys. Now this dude's going to jump up to 168. That is Demetrius Andrade, and he's going to still call your ass out. Andrade does need to face somebody of substance. I do agree. Andrade calls out everybody. He's not just calling out Canelo. He calls out everybody. Nobody's answered the call so far. Okay? So we'll see what happens with David Benavidez. Somebody gonna have to face Andrade. We know that. It's a matter of time. And he just has to be patient. But in the meantime, all I'm saying is, don't say that Canelo's the only risk taker up here doing all of these things. Don't say that, because he's his own boss. He can do whatever he wants. And this is why he's able to do what he's doing. Okay? And then don't go and say, make that an excuse for why he lost to Benavidez. I give him props for facing Benavidez. I give him his mad props for facing Benavidez. I have respect for the dude, Canelo. He's the real thing. I like how he didn't make excuses. He turned around and started making excuses after. But he, at the point in time, and that's his ego, he didn't make no excuses. He said the better man won. That's the way to do it. Okay? I do not believe that 175 pounds is too much for Canelo, and that them guys at 175, he can't beat him. He can beat Joe Smith Jr. He can beat Artur Beterbiev. I don't know about, I mean, maybe he can. Maybe he can beat Zurdo Ramirez. I would love to see him go up against Zurdo Ramirez. I think he could beat Zurdo because, yeah, I think he beats Zurdo because Zurdo don't really have a whole set of footwork to worry about, like move around the ring plenty. So I think he beats Zurdo. I think he beats Jesse Hart, even though Jesse Hart could box a bit, but I still don't think he's sharp enough to deal with a Canelo. So I think he beats Badu Jack. Motherfucker, I don't know what's going to happen with that. Badu Jack is the real deal, and they be fighting in the cupboard because Badu Jack fights in the inside. That'll be an inside fight. That'll be an exciting fight if he were to fight Badu Jack. Badu Jack's kind of old too. That would be a good fight. So I don't see who else they got in that division. They got a couple guys in that division. Oh, Callum Smith's in the division as well. He's doing okay. Who else we got in that division? We got a couple guys in the division that's still there. We got Marcus Brown. We got Marcus Brown in that division. We got a couple guys in that division that Canelo could match up with, and we could see what really go down with him. But I truly believe that the only fighter that could beat Canelo in that division right now is Bivol. Nobody else. He did take on the best, in my opinion, the best 175-pounder of the division. Okay? And he has to do, like I said, he has to work on his activity with his feet and movement. And I think he can come back stronger and better and have a better chance against Bivol. But at this point in time, I don't think he can beat Bivol, even in an immediate rematch. But he could prove me wrong. Anthony Joshua proved me wrong with Andy Ruiz. So who's to say Canelo can't prove me wrong? But it's just that my mind, at this point in time, speaking from a fan's perspective and not from a boxer's perspective, boxer's perspective is totally different. I believe that from a fan's perspective, it's too short a turnaround time for him to rectify some of the movement problems that he has and stamina problems that he has. So if you can work on that, maybe a year's time, come back and revisit that against Bivol. By that time, Bivol might be undisputed and defending his title a couple of times. I think that might be, but you got to really fast track it. Like, you have to work really hard on movement. Excuse me. So I don't buy that excuse. Like I said before, the element in the room is that Canelo, he don't move enough. He don't know how to close the distance with movement, with his footwork, his movement properly. So he has to work on that. That's what he has to work on. And once he works on that, I think he'll be all right. But it'll take a little while. So to say that he's taking more risks than, say, Demetrius Andre, and again, taking risks, what does that mean? What does it mean taking risks? What do you mean by that? Because again, these guys are going through 3 weight classes. They're doing it the proper way. Canelo's he's his own boss, so he can jump up and down and up and down. He can do that. But those guys are doing the same things. They're just taking a little longer to do them. Right? When you got a 2-divisional world champion or a 3-divisional champion, you can't tell me that champion's not taking risk. You can't say that. And just because you're not presented with the opportunities that another guy has, doesn't mean that you're taking less risk. Because every time you go in the ring, you're taking a risk. Okay? And then they look at the lower level opponents. I mean, Charlo fought Derevyanchenko. Canelo never faced Derevyanchenko. He never faced that style. So you can't say that Charlo ain't taking risks because he took on Derevyanchenko. I ain't actually beat him pretty comprehensively. That's a risk. Right? It's not just weight classes. People always talk, he goes to a new weight class. You know, the guys have different pump resistance. No, it's about the names. It's about the people. It's about their skills. It's about the style. It's not so much about the weight. When I think about Canelo and I think about Floyd Mayweather, and I say Floyd Mayweather faced the better competition, people say, well, Pacquiao went through 10 divisions and he won championships in 8. What that mean? That mean shit. You're going up in a division to face names. You're going up to face the best guys you could possibly face. That's why you're going up in divisions, because the division you're in doesn't have the available guys or guys who want to face you who are the best. That's why you go up in weight. What's the other reason? If you've got all the talent in boxing in one division, you can stay right there, right? Because nobody else above or below you is a name. The whole reason you're going up in divisions is because you want to face the name guys. You want to face the best. And you ran out of the best in your division, so you went up to face the best. This is what Canelo did, and kudos to him on that. He faced the best, at least what the Ring Magazine called the best. He faced the best 168 pounder. He faced the best 160 pounder in Gennady Golovkin. He faced the and Miguel Cotto. He faced the best 154 pounder in Floyd Mayweather, and then Erislandy Lara. That's what he did. So you got to give him props for that. You see what I'm saying? At 168, the best guys there, he did take down. He took down Callum Smith first, which was the linear champion. The next best guy, which was Billy Joe Saunders, who turned out to be a punk. And then the next best guy was Caleb Plant. So for me, he did exactly what you're supposed to do, right? The only thing I have a problem with is, why did he face Yildirim instead of asking the WBC to face David Benavidez? Because David Benavidez is the belt that he actually had. That was the former champion. He never lost his belt. He should have just went in, taking care of David Benavidez instead of Yildirim, who gave us a dud. Okay, Yildirim didn't get us a good fight anyway. People didn't like it, and Canelo was disappointed even. And you could have had David Benavidez clean the house with David Benavidez, and then so that was the guy that had the WBC belt. You could have had him, and then after that, you just go after Caleb Plant, and you would have cleaned out the division. Because at the time, those were the names in the division. It was Benavidez, Plant, Saunders, and Callum Smith. But you still come up short. You didn't face David Benavidez. You're making us sound like you're afraid to face David Benavidez, which is very strange, if you ask me. I don't see what David Benavidez brings to the table that should make Canelo not want to face him. I just don't get that part. You know? But anyways, I guess it's his trainer. Maybe Eddie Reynoso, he got a problem with that. I don't know, man. I don't understand certain things that happen in boxing. It didn't make no sense to me. You know? I don't know. But the other thing is, you had the opportunity to face Andre, you didn't face him. You had the opportunity to face Charlo, you didn't face him. You know, and those things resonate with fans. Fans are going to call that up. They're going to bring it up. Like I said, the Canelo conundrum, the Canelo quandary is these sort of things. Them guys been coming up with you now. There's going to be 3 divisions for Andre. And we'll see if Charlo comes to 168. That will be 3 divisions. Canelo would not have faced these guys in. Just take care of business. Face all them guys. Win, lose, or draw. You could say you faced them in their primes. You know what I mean? But just make it happen, man. I got Canelo over Benavidez. This is my opinion. Canelo don't seem to have that kind of confidence, though, that I have. I got Canelo over, possibly, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what will happen in a Charlo fight. But the way how Charlo behaving, when he want to get the Canelo fight and no other fight, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a winnable fight for Canelo, though, if he do the right things. Especially if he's working on his movement, his cardio for his movement. He gonna be smoking. because again, that gives him an edge. That gives him the advantage he needs for a fight like that. With with Andre. Andre is an interesting fight. He's got to have his cardio on point. He got to have his foot movement on point. Otherwise, Andre will box circles around him and beat him. Andre is fast. He's sharp. I mean, he's something else. So that's gonna be his mother of all fights, the Andre fight, I believe. Especially if Andre goes in there and faces David Benavidez, um, and does well. I think Canelo versus Andre will be a tremendous fight. So I'm looking forward to that. It seems to be building. Like Crawford versus Spence would be a big fight. I think it's gonna be a big fight. So Canelo versus Andre. If Andre sticks around and you just keep on hanging around there, we're gonna get Canelo versus Andre. I don't know how soon that will happen, but at this time, I don't think it's a good idea to face Andre though. If you're trying to get a W under your wing and get some confidence, I think Andre is a better fighter than Vivo. I just don't think that's a good idea. Never mind that Andre don't have no world champions on his resume. It's just not a good idea. The risk is not worth the reward right now. I wouldn't jump straight into an Andre fight. That's a tough fight. Triple G fight for sure. That's a better fight for Canelo, or a bit of a Bevo, a David Benavidez fight. Uh, it's tougher, I think, than a Bevo fight, because not because Bevo's tough, but because Benavidez can bring the pain with with his pressure. So that's what makes that fight interesting. Uh, yeah, uh, it's not a tough it's not a tougher fight than a Bevo fight. Sorry, my bad, but you have to be tough, physically tough for a David Benavidez fight, because he will wear you down if he starts landing body punches and stuff. Anyway, man, what you need in the building. I just wanted to talk about that, and say, the excuses that they're making with, this is not the weight class for Canelo and stuff like that, and that, the guys are too big and that Canelo's taking so much risk and all that. He's always taking risks. You always take risks when you go into the boxing ring, especially when people think that the fighter you face and you could just blow them out just like that. We're always taking risks. That's why you can't listen to the hype. You just gotta dial in, do your homework on a fighter, and know what it is you need to do to win, and then you can start executing. What you need here. I'm gonna catch you guys later, man. I am about to go to sleep. I know it. So you guys have a good one.